He always felt like someone in the mansion next door was watching him, but he had just moved there. He barely knew anyone, and he had never made any enemies. Who that mystery person was became the thing he wanted to know most. Then one day, an invitation to one of Gatsby's parties showed up. He went out of curiosity, and stepped into a mansion that looked like a palace. There was a party every weekend. Anyone could come. People partied hard all the time. Even stranger. Nobody had ever seen the owner. Everyone just showed up on their own. Then the man realized he might be the only one who actually got invited. He started wondering why Gatsby invited him. His name was Nick. Like many young people, he came to New York to chase his dream. Back then America was booming. Stocks kept going up. Opportunities were everywhere. Nick rented a house in West Egg and worked in the stock business. His neighbor was New York's most famous rich man Gatsby. Every weekend, Gatsby threw huge parties. Rich people from all over New York came on their own. Everyone had a wild time. But what caught Nick's attention was the man by the dock. He often stood there, looking at the green light in the distance. Nick had no idea who he was. Late every night, the man showed up, like he was waiting for something. One day, Nick visited Daisy. During the conversation, they brought up Gatsby. As soon as she heard the name, Daisy froze, and asked which Gatsby. Nick found that strange. Meanwhile Tom was taking a call from his mistress. Daisy saw everything, but stayed quiet. The next day, Gatsby picked Nick up in his fancy car. They talked along the way, and slowly became friends. Gatsby said he came from a wealthy family in the Midwest. He studied at Oxford. His parents had passed away, and left him a fortune. After that, he traveled around. While talking, he showed Nick some medals and photos. Nick felt something was off, but did not ask much. Then he asked Gatsby why he wanted to see him. Gatsby said he needed a favor, and it was all legit. As for the details, Jordan would explain that night. Later they went to an underground bar. Nick introduced them to people, but when Gatsby saw Tom, he clearly did not like him. Nick got even more curious. And that night, Jordan finally told him the truth. Everything Gatsby had done was for Daisy. 5 years earlier, Jordan had seen Daisy fall in love with a young officer. That officer was Gatsby. They had already chosen each other. Not long after, war broke out, and Gatsby went to Europe. Daisy waited for him, but after the war ended, he never came back. Then Tom showed up, and won her over with expensive gifts. Soon they got married, but on the morning of the wedding, Daisy got a letter. After reading it, she almost called off the wedding. But in the end, her family convinced her, and she married Tom. Their marriage was not happy. Daisy had been holding everything inside, but now things were different. Gatsby was back, and he still loved her. He bought that mansion, and threw parties every week, just hoping that one day, Daisy would come. And the reason he treated Nick so well was because he wanted Nick to invite Daisy over for tea, so he could show up by chance and see her again. After hearing the story, Nick was touched. But Daisy was married, and nobody knew how she felt now, so Nick hesitated. When he got home, he saw Gatsby waiting outside, clearly looking for an answer. Seeing that, Nick finally agreed, knowing he would see Daisy in 2 days. Gatsby was thrilled. He even tried to give Nick money, but Nick turned him down. The next morning, Nick saw a bunch of gardeners at his house. They were all sent by Gatsby. Soon, the yard looked beautiful, and the house was filled with flowers. Gatsby put on a new suit, and waited for Daisy. As time passed, he got more nervous. When Nick brought Daisy in, Gatsby suddenly disappeared. Then there was a knock at the door. Turns out he had gone outside in the rain, just to pretend he was passing by. But he got soaked. After 5 years apart, they both felt awkward. Gatsby was so nervous, he kept messing up, and things got uncomfortable. Nick made an excuse to leave, but Gatsby ran after him, thinking he had ruined everything. After Nick encouraged him, he went back inside, and Nick stayed outside, to give them some space. When he came back, everything had changed. They were laughing together, and talking about the past. Then, Gatsby took them to his mansion. He said everything there was meant for Daisy. His closet was packed with expensive clothes that he had collected over the years. Everywhere he went, he brought back the best things. Then, he started tossing the clothes around. As Daisy watched, she suddenly burst into tears. Gatsby quickly asked what was wrong, and said he could afford anything now. Daisy told him those were happy tears. She was just glad to see him again. That made Gatsby happier than ever. From then on, Daisy visited often, and Gatsby kept throwing parties. As time went by, Tom noticed something was wrong. At one party, the two men quietly competed with each other. Tom could never figure out where Gatsby's money came from, but Gatsby did not care. His eyes were only on Daisy. Later, they met in the garden, and Daisy suggested running away together. But Gatsby said no. He wanted her to get divorced first, and then marry him properly. But Daisy could not make up her mind, and Gatsby grew disappointed. He realized Daisy had changed. After the party, Nick noticed how upset he was, and told him the past was gone. But Gatsby disagreed. He believed everything could start over. So, he stopped throwing parties, and focused only on Daisy. Finally one day, Daisy agreed to get divorced, so everyone met at Tom's house to settle things. But at the last second, Daisy backed out. To ease the tension, she suggested going into the city. Tom had already noticed something, so he came along, and even switched cars with Gatsby. The whole drive, the two men kept competing. When they stopped near the Valley of Ashes, Tom got gas, and Wilson told him he planned to leave town with his wife, because he thought she was cheating. That made Tom panic, because he was the other man. They reached the city. To win Daisy back, Tom went after Gatsby. He questioned his background, and even his education, but Gatsby answered everything, and gave him no opening. Finally, Tom asked them what they wanted. Gatsby stopped hiding. He said he had known Daisy for years, but he had been too poor, and later too busy chasing success, so they lost each other. Then, he asked Daisy to say that she had never loved Tom. Tom just laughed. He said he did not care about the past, but after they got married, Daisy really loved him, and she still did. Gatsby denied it right away, and looked at Daisy, but she stayed silent. Tom said he loved Daisy, yet Daisy still said she did not love him. Seeing a chance, Tom fought back. He exposed Gatsby's past, and said he made his money selling illegal liquor, and dealing with dangerous people. As the truth came out, Gatsby was crushed, but he mocked Tom in return, saying their money was all the same, and nobody was better than anyone else. But Tom did not care. He believed birth meant everything, and some things could never change. Those words pushed Gatsby over the edge. He finally lost control. Everyone was shocked, especially Daisy, and Tom knew he had won. After that, Daisy became afraid. No matter how Gatsby explained, nothing worked anymore. Later, Tom told them to leave first, while he and Nick headed home slowly. On the way, they stopped by Wilson's garage, and learned some terrible news. Wilson's wife had been killed by a car, and that car was Gatsby's yellow car. Wilson thought Gatsby had killed her, and Tom made things worse. Wilson became furious, and swore revenge. Back home, Nick found Gatsby waiting outside. They argued, and only then, Nick learned the truth. The one driving the car was Daisy. After the accident, Gatsby took the blame, and worried Tom might hurt Daisy, so he stayed outside all night. Nick went inside, and found Tom and Daisy together again. They were already planning to leave town. Nick did not tell Gatsby. He only told him to leave New York, but Gatsby refused, because he was still waiting for Daisy's call. That night, Gatsby finally told Nick about his past. His real name was James Gatz. His parents were poor farmers, and he grew up with nothing. At 16, he left home, and started chasing a better life. Later, by chance, he met a millionaire, who showed him the world, and introduced him to high society. But after the rich man died, he lost everything again. Then while serving in the army, he met Daisy, and they quickly fell in love. But he knew he had nothing back then. So after the war, he worked non-stop, just to give Daisy a future. After talking all night, morning came, and for the first time, Nick saw something special in Gatsby. Before leaving, he sincerely praised his friend. Then they said goodbye. The next day, Nick could not stop worrying, while Gatsby waited by the pool for a phone call. Finally the phone rang. Gatsby rushed to answer it, but at that moment, Wilson arrived, and fired the fatal shots. Gatsby fell into the pool, and Wilson took his own life. The person calling was actually Nick. The moment he heard the voice, he knew something was wrong. Soon, Gatsby made headlines again. Everyone blamed him, but Nick knew the truth was different. He called many people, and asked them to come to the funeral, but all the people who had enjoyed Gatsby's parties refused to show up. As for Daisy, she did not even send flowers. She and Tom had already left New York. Nick was furious. They had ruined everything, and walked away without looking back. Later, Nick left New York too. Before leaving, he returned to the dock, and looked at the green light again. He thought about Gatsby's journey. For one dream, he gave up everything, but some things were never really his. Just like that green light, it looked so close, but kept getting farther away. People always want to move forward, but the past keeps pulling them back. And Gatsby, until the very end, never stopped chasing his dream.